Hey everyone, my name is Kelsey. I usually don't make videos, but I feel like this should be something that it needs to be talked about. I have POTS, which is Postural Orthostatic Tachycardia Syndrome. It's an invisible chronic illness, and it basically means that you can't necessarily see that there's something wrong with me because it's all inside. And what POTS is basically my autonomic nervous system doesn't work properly. It's also known as dysautonomia. It basically controls all of the functions that just automatically happen for people and don't happen properly for me. So some of my symptoms that I have are a little bit different than what other people may have that also have my condition, because it varies from person to person. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what goes on with me. It causes me to be very, very dizzy. So I experience dizziness every single day. At least a few times a day. I don't usually have a whole day that I'm not dizzy. I actually can't remember the last time I had a whole day that I was not dizzy at all. It causes me to be in a lot of pain, and it's not just considered a migraine because it's actually something in my nervous system causing my pain, but it is in the back of my head. It's on this left side right here. Usually it starts swelling first before it goes to the other side, and it comes all the way up to here. It does make my eyes hurt, and it does make my head hurt very, very bad. Regular medications don't work or do anything for me. They said that it's mainly because it's not technically a migraine. It is actually something in my nerves that's causing the pain. I am very shaky because it's my nervous system. I don't have all my feeling to my body like I should all the time. For instance, if I pick something up, I don't necessarily know how hard I'm squeezing it because I can't necessarily always feel it. Like, my hands go numb often, and so do, like, my legs can, and my arms do. So I can't always necessarily feel when I'm grabbing things very well. My vision gets very blurry, and I get kind of tunnel visioned. The room starts spinning, and it's very hard for me to focus sometimes. I'm tired a lot, like a lot more than I used to be. And I used to be fairly tired pretty often just because I was very, very active growing up. But it's gotten a lot worse. And when I have episodes, it makes me 10 times more tired than I usually am, even then. So even if in this condition, it causes me to pass out. Even when I do pass out, I usually wake up even more exhausted than when I was before I passed out. It makes me very tired. It takes all of the energy out of me because it is literally my body shutting down and trying to restart itself because it's not working properly. It makes it very hard for me to breathe. I struggle a lot with breathing. It makes it to where, like, my blood pressure is very low because it's not regulated properly. My heart rate is not regulated properly, even a little bit. It's usually very jumpy. It'll go from very, very low to very, very high to very low. And it doesn't necessarily have to be because I stood up. It can be any time. And that's very important to remember, that just because it says it's postural doesn't mean that that's the only thing that makes it happen. It just makes my symptoms worse. So that's just something to keep in mind. It also messes with your body temperature. So normal people are usually pretty okay with their body temperature. And if they get cold, they can just put on a sweater and they'll be fine. But in my case, I get very cold and I stay very cold. It's not anything to do with my environment. It's just my nervous system doesn't control my body temperature properly. It doesn't matter if it's warm outside. And a lot of people with POTS, I've noticed, have the opposite problem. They're very heat intolerant. They stay hot most of the time. So I'm a little bit different there, just because mine's kind of the opposite of theirs. I also get a lot of pain in my chest. I think it's because I struggle to breathe so much, and my heart's constantly racing and then dropping and then racing and then dropping, and it just causes a lot of pain in my chest. I feel like people don't necessarily know how to deal with somebody that has an invisible illness like I do. They just assume that I'm fine because I look fine. And I understand that. It's very hard to tell that something is wrong with somebody when you can't see it. And I tried for a long time to not really talk about it and kind of work through it, but I have come to realize that just makes everything worse. It makes my symptoms a lot worse, and it makes it 10 times harder on myself. And I end up having more episodes that way, which is not safe. And so now I'm speaking out about it and trying to let people know this is a real illness. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I struggle with it every single day of my life. There is not a day that has gone by that I haven't been struggling with this. It has progressively gotten worse for me. Medicine hasn't helped me yet. I haven't actually found anything to help me yet. I do try things, and I have done my research. Trust me, I do a lot of research all the time about it to try to help myself to feel a little bit better and feel a little bit more like myself. So I just want people to understand that if they have any questions, or you have questions about what my illness does to me and how it affects my life, feel free to message me. I will respond. I would rather people ask me questions than just assume that they know what's wrong with me. I understand that people want to help as well, and I appreciate that. I have done my research, and I have been dealing with this for some time now. So please understand if I say I've already tried it, to not try to keep forcing me to try something again. Because I give everything a very good chance before I decide if it's not working for me. And I always consult with my doctors as well to make sure that I am correct. So I hope that this helps somebody out there that's struggling with this, because it is really, really hard. It's very hard to have people look at you and think, oh, she looks fine, so she's fine. She's just doing this to get out of work. She's just doing this to get out of doing stuff. And that is not the case. I loved going to work, and I had very high goals in my life, and I loved being active. I've always been active. I was a dancer for many, many years, and it's something I've always been proud of. And now it's greatly impacted my life, and it makes it very hard for me to do things. There's times that I can't even get out of bed because I just continuously keep passing out. It's not fun at all by any means, and this is not something I would wish on anybody. So I hope that people try to be a little more understanding. When somebody says that there's something wrong with them, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's visible to you. It also doesn't necessarily mean that it's a mental thing. It could be something within them that they just cannot control, like I have. I have something wrong with my nervous system that is not something I can control in any way, shape, or form. And if I try, it actually makes it worse. So I just hope people try to be a little more understanding. And like I said, if you have any questions, I would be happy to try to answer them to the best of my abilities. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day.